evil, or pass through each one. We don't in the live action stuff. We haven't had a lot of examples, and I'd love to see more of it. Characters that have conflict in terms of like exactly where they stand. I feel like Count Dooku was a really great opportunity to get through that with more of the live action stuff. And maybe we'll get more of that.
Anakin.
More of I feel like we didn't get to see a lot of that in live action, and where it would be really fun. I want to explore those of the Separatist stuff. You know, again.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So, I guess what I'm saying is like I see all of this potential in Gilroy's writing. I love the whole prison sequence. I don't know you guys how you felt about it exactly. Like the 4-episode arc for the.
I really enjoyed. That was probably where it started to pick up for me.
The idea that like all of it is representative of how rebellions overthrow like fascist sort of regimes, and I'll never get over like the prisoners swimming out of the facility that has the Empire cog is showing the Empire bleeding as a result of all of their actions that goes down to the individuals. Like that's really cool.
It was.
So I see all that potential. Then I watch Ahsoka, and I'm spending most of the episodes wondering who Ahsoka, Hera, and Sabine are. Still waiting for more information from his point of view in this story, because Filoni sold this as you don't even need to see Clone Wars and Rebels. This show will take care of you. It's going to make sure you understand. And I think one of the worst is Hera looking back. Her story was insanely thin, and she was given like barely anything except that she's kind of a bullheaded general that doesn't understand how procedure works, and then she commits perjury, and she's bailed out by a corrupt government being the quote-unquote good guys.
Yeah.
What we saw Leia do with Hera, first of all, doesn't even make sense. It's not in line with Leia's character. She wouldn't bail out good guys on a mission where 2 people died that was not sanctioned just because they're her friend. It's not how that works. It's not a responsible general. But, you know, more importantly, it's representative to me of like, that's not handling, you know, character journeys well. And I feel like that's represented. We could go through it all, but I don't want to waste all you guys' time. Of each of the characters.
That's what we're here to do, man. To chat, have fun.
Well, ask me any questions you want if you want. So, like any individual character journey, any individual the overall plot, the world, obviously thrown the witches of Dathomir. I assume I don't know if you guys were fan of zombie stormtroopers. That shit.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Did you not see my face? I mean, it's been clipped into oblivion now on Twitter and stuff, and it's just like, I was not expecting them to be just zombies. That's it.
And so
that was the climax.
If it were the one season, I'd be like, all right, look, he missed. It's okay, he can miss. But then I'm combining that with my knowledge of how he approached, you know, a lot of the content in Mando, or a lot of the content that he clearly allowed to happen somewhat in Kenobi and Boba Fett. And I'm just like, this is not the guy for the job as far as I'm concerned. Meanwhile, Gilroy, I can see the discipline is there. We just need him to, you know, I think it's almost a guarantee we'd be getting Vader in season 2 of Andor, right? It would make sense.
It would make sense, Krennic.
There's a couple of characters with K2SO will probably pop up, but that's obviously Disney canon. But at the same time, you understand, like, there's no reason to assume that it would be as disconnected. And if it is more connected, if the pacing ramps up, I feel like that is then earning Gilroy a position of like, maybe he should be given more.
Boaters, help keep killer whales safe. If you're boating in British Columbia's coastal waters, be aware of the laws in place to protect them. A message from the Government of Canada.
Maybe we test him out a little bit more.
What if we Dragon Ball fuse Favreau, Filoni, Gilroy, and Witwer all into one?
If we can get Gilroy writing and Filoni supervising / directing. Yeah, we're in there. Yeah, that's on with me. Kathleen's not in the writing room. It's, big old lock on this one.
No girls allowed. The He-Man Woman Hate
Clip.
Club.
There's a clip. There's a clip, folks. There you go.
Yeah,
Twitter.
go
Clip
for
it.
Yeah, they're gonna do it anyways. It's more marketing for me, man.
That's basically my point of view.
Yeah, no, I respect your point of view. I'd say I'd agree with over 90% of your point of view.
All right. Honestly, I got a completely different impression of what your point of view was before this conversation.
Yeah, most do.
Well, to be
Yeah.
wasn't it all interesting in any slander though? Because like to take for example, one of your quotes is saying they gave pennies to Kenobi, right?
Yeah.
The very wild thing is 90 million is a hell of a lot more than some of the greatest TV shows of all time ever got.
Well, in comparison to Andor or
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk.
Is that pennies in comparison?
For a show that is arguably the most important show for Star Wars. I would imagine if She-Hulk had 250 or 225 and or 250, then I would hope that Kenobi would double that.
Well, like Andor had double the episodes, and they were longer, and they went to more places in the galaxy, right? So like it would be a call for more money at least. I guess I don't even want to focus on that. I would just be more at the point of being like, we could have had an incredible Kenobi show for $1 million.
It's all about writing, but it's like where we went with Andor was because of the writing. Where we went or didn't go with Kenobi was because of the writing. So we could have gone a ton more places. We could have gone to Dagobah, different planets, Coruscant, wherever we need to go in Kenobi. But they tried to keep it so safe and
Yeah,
spend a single cent on a gimbal, and it just.
like the focus of my corner of the internet is just again and again writing quality, care about the characters, care about the lore, consider continuity, cause and effect. It's all really important. And of course, throw in the iconography. I'm more than happy to have that. And like, when I watched your video, you were saying like, what the fuck? Like the big, sticking point for you was the fact that She-Hulk got more money than Kenobi. And I'm just sitting there like, I mean, even if it had the same budget, it would have been like because of the approach.
Well, and that's what I said in the video, because the budget isn't even the main issue. It's the writing.
It's the writing, yeah.
Yeah. I literally
But like
said
it's
a few minutes in.
it pushed you over the edge though, looking at the
It did.
budget
It
thing.
totally did, because I was just like, you know what, man? Like, the show itself felt so cheap, and I felt like we had this very narrow, what's the word? Type spaces. Claustrophobic feel to it. Whereas, you get Kenobi or Andor and She-Hulk, where everything feels so expansive, so wide and so great.
Yeah, Andor felt so much, not only as a production, but just watching it felt so much bigger than Kenobi.
It made me jealous.
Massive.
It felt like Star Wars in that sense, where you're going to different planets and different worlds, and you're seeing them from the outside of space, and you go to them, and the sets, everything is large and wide and big.
Yeah, I agree, and I honestly think it's the cinematographers and the people involved. Like they may have gotten more time. I think Kenobi was super rushed, right?
Yeah,
Well, it was supposed to mean
not an excuse.
They had the idea
No, that's
for-
bad. That's what I'm saying. It's not even budget at that point. It's because this is what Marvel's going through. Every project doesn't have enough time to cook, basically. And they want to have a schedule where you bounce from Star Wars to Marvel to Star Wars to Marvel. Like they want you to keep busy, which is obviously killing them at this point. And they're struggling to start to pull the brakes and refigure. I think you guys probably saw it announced recently. They want to start having showrunners for their shows.
Yeah. Wait, what?
They want to start having showrunners for their TV shows. The revelation that you should have a showrunner.
What does that mean?
They haven't been doing that up to this point. They've been using directors and writers and just throwing the shit at them and being like, go, just make the thing. No showrunner, which is insane. This is what I mean. Like, the decisions in production are absolutely nuts. But because I don't know how much you guys know about this. I always assume that everyone does because of how wild it all is. But like the writer for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, like, joyfully admitted in the behind the scenes that when they were filming, they almost completed Act 2 for filming, he hadn't written anything for Act 3. He had no idea what it was going to be. He was just sitting there like,
insane.
he was like laughing, like saying, I don't know what even we're going to do. It's just like, that's wonderful.
It's because today movies aren't made with passion. It's made to hit quotas. That's it.
Yeah, and we need to dig deep in, and we need to learn and remember like what it is to be artists when it comes to filmmaking. And so that's why I feel like we line up on a hell of a lot, but it might be like the minutia that we
It's minutia, but it's also what the perception that the public who don't know me don't watch my videos think of me. That is constantly being broadcasted online in a light that is less than favorable in my opinion. So it's who I am is how I conduct myself, but I feel like people don't know me anymore. Just kind of get an idea of who I am through other people who don't like me.
Yeah, I'm right with you there, man. Like, even in the super chats that was sent to you, someone described me as, I want to debate you and I'm going to go from film school. I haven't been to film school, and I never said I wanted to debate you. I just wanted to chat with you after you put out the tweet. That's all.
Oh, I love this chat.
Yeah, that's all I want. But like, I don't blame you when someone says that. You just be like, oh shit, is this guy like debate me? It's like, no.
Yeah. Well, I get that every day. Man. So many people that are constantly just talking shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm just here talking about Star Wars, man. Like, not everyone's gonna agree with me, I guess, but I didn't I honestly had so much more fun with my channel when I was under 750,000 subscribers. It was the best time.
Well, and I assume you agree that best time would have been when the content was fucking awesome. When the films coming out and they were amazing, we'd all celebrate together, talk about how awesome the future was going to be. I remember speculating on what the things in TFA were going to lead to. I can't imagine doing that now.
No, it's just not as creative anymore. Not simply because there's nothing to do with it. It's like, where do you go after the end of TLJ?
Yeah.
The door.
No, and Ryan Johnson's quote is saying that he wrote it to be an end. That's what he likes to do with his films. Just like, thanks, bro. This guy is gonna make the third one over there. But
Yeah. And what he said about how he's like, you know, I think a film where half the audience really hates it, half the audience really likes it. That's a very good point.
I feel like you never hear that from someone who made a film that everyone loved. Like, nobody says, like, man, I wish more people hated my movie. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really great way of kind of setting yourself up to fail. It's like, well, that's what I wanted. I wanted them to hate you. You succeeded.
Well, on that note, I wanted to, this is you guys' show, so I should probably hop out. But
You can
plenty
stay
of
as long
fun.
as you like. I really enjoyed your
I mean, you guys have an itinerary from what I understand, right? I think you even mentioned, like, bringing someone on randomly. I didn't want that to happen, by the way. I was just curious if that's how it worked or not.
yeah, it's very free form here. That's how I've always wanted these live streams. No real schedule and just shoot the shit. So I really enjoyed my time, and I'd love for you to come back again if you want.
Well, yeah, hit me up if you want to. Anything Star Wars related, Star Wars news? I mean, I'd love to tell you all about how horrible Marvel is. That's almost my expertise along with Marvel. Star Wars at this point. So all of it's a disaster. It's sad, but that we're hoping that the corner's being turned, so to speak. Sort of. There's a lot of different things happening, and Disney's desperate at this point. As I'm sure you're aware, the Marvels is going to be a big hitter because it's gonna crash and burn.
I don't even know what it's about. It's female superheroes?
Yes, two of them from sort of spin-off shows that no one saw. So, you know, very wise decisions. As wise as the decisions they make for Star Wars.
Would you say Marvel is more in danger or Star Wars?
It's really hard to, because I've been asked this question before, but Marvel has, let's just say for the sake of argument, 50 characters, huge plot lines, a world that's enormous, and we were asked on our podcast back like 5 years ago, do you think Marvel's going to be destroyed? And we were like, no, you'd have to destroy every single character, destroy all of the plot lines, and you have to kill the world entirely. We have been covering every single entry into Phase 4 and 5. They have destroyed every single character. They have annihilated all the remaining plotlines. They are struggling right now to know whether or not they recast or get rid of Kang, the only thing they've set up in 5 years. It's like it's absolutely insane. They're like, maybe we should bring in Doctor Doom. It's the equivalent.
When children are online, they're never alone. Online predators use kid-friendly games and apps to meet and exploit children. Learn how to protect your kids from online sexual exploitation.
How I see Ahsoka, it's like, let's just bring in Thrawn, just get him in.
Right.
Hopefully this can revitalize Star
And then
Wars.
you just make him.
Kang's been embarrassing. He was defeated by ants.
Ant-Man.
Yeah. Oh my
Is that what happened?
god.
I didn't watch it.
Don't watch it. Don't. Don't.
I didn't. You know, when I saw Kang at the end of Loki season 1, I was like, I don't even remember. I was like, what's okay? Thanos was cool.
You know, a quote they had was that he was ready for the role because he trained professionally as a clown.
What?
Jonathan Majors had professional clown training, and that's why he was ready for the role.
So what's going on with him now? Is he being arrested?
I think that's to be determined.
Are they-
Yeah, they're going to
in?
trial.
Oh, okay.
And of course, if he's found guilty, Disney lose him. If he's found innocent, then Disney are confused. They're not sure what to do with him.
They'll probably still lose him because it's just too much.
There was a while that I think there was going to be a counter-sue against the person who was suing him or something.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
What are you guys' hope for Star Wars going forward? Where do you want to see it go?
Where do I want to see it go? Kathleen Kennedy to step down. I'd like for someone to take the reins. I mean, Kevin Feige, I don't really know how well he's going to do with Star Wars, but I think he does have a good understanding of how to kind of take a timeline of events and maybe write them so that they make sense, like the sequel trilogy. I would imagine he has a good understanding and basis of Star Wars and their characters and how they would act and react in certain moments, depending on how he writes them. But overall, I would like for them to just start fresh at this point, Let's say I were to take the reins of Lucasfilm. The sequel trilogy would be gone. That would be Legends.
Decanonized, yeah.
Decanonized. We would create a new sequel trilogy, which would be Dave Filoni's movie. And that would be under immense scrutiny as well. There's nothing that I think would be magnifying glass. And not to say that I am anywhere near the level of when it comes to writing Star Wars, but I think I have a generally pretty good idea of what I want, what I see. And again, I'm putting every single fraction of creativity that I have, everything that I kind of preach into my fan films. And those will be coming up soon, right? I know the world will see them, and then they can judge for themselves. But I believe I truly have what it takes to create good Star Wars the way we were brought up with. And if I were to take over Lucasfilm, I would decanonize the sequels. I would create a new sequel trilogy based on pretty much events happening a few years after Return of the Jedi, and perhaps even having a time jump in one of the episodes there, so that we advance the story. Then I would make games galore, everything that we would need, whether it's 1313 or a game about Darth Maul, a trilogy on young Palpatine or Darth Plagueis.
Get some bounty hunter games going.
Oh, what's that?
Get some bounty hunter games going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised that we don't even have a Mandalorian game yet with all that stuff that's coming out. It's like,
Yeah, that's true.
Like the Bounty Hunter, we had so many games under LucasArts. And we've got what? EA created Battlefront 2 2015, Battlefront 2015, Battlefront 2, then they stopped the game. Yeah. And we have Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. But there's still so much more that could be done. We could get Force Unleashed, we could get Force Unleashed 3, we could get a whole bunch of games that don't have to be canon. But again, if I were to take over Lucasfilm, or what I would want to happen is that we take all of the legends that was there when George was around, which is now gone, and just expand upon it. Have fun with it. I create.
I
more
miss Star Wars
shows.
being fun. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, create more shows. And that's the thing with Star Wars. I'm not a huge fan of shows other than Clone Wars because I feel like they just have a budget of, let's say, 12 episodes, and they got to fill in certain gaps to keep the person coming back each week and to keep that subscription going. Whereas a movie, you sit down in 2.5 hours or more or less, you're done. And then you got to wait for the next installment of the film, like the prequel trilogy and originals. So I'm more interested in movies than I am shows. Shows, obviously, for making content and watch parties, yeah, it's fun. Business-wise, fun, great. It's a plus. But at the end of the day, I'm more of a Star Wars fan than I want my channel to thrive. I could do other stuff. So I would really love for them to go back to making movies and putting them in the movie theater scene. And from there, we'll see if all those things down first. But essentially going back to what Star Wars was, and then even starting something thousands of years in the past and thousands of years in the future. I think getting away from the whole Skywalker timeline would be not only refreshing but needed. It's something that I'm almost kind of fatigued with this whole Boba Fett era, Mandalorian era. It's all within the same, not even 100 years. So Acolyte is kind of the first installment that we have of this, or we're going to be going back 200 years or whatever it is. But screw that, let's go thousands of years back to a real royal time, to a time when it was like Game of Thrones. And that, to me, is much more interesting than anything else. So I'd probably put my focus on something like that, maybe even like a saga of the Old Republic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I love all those ideas. The only core difference between you and I was I would gut all of Disney. Everything's gone. All the makers, creators there. No, I mean all the creators. So,
including
Filoni.
Everybody including Filoni.
Yeah, I would even consider gutting Gilroy. Everything. I want a clean house. New creators in.
So, what's his face? James Gunn style.
Well, he's kept a couple of things that he likes, which is controversial as hell for a lot of Marvel fans. I guess Marvel and DC fans. It's,
right, Guardians. Yeah, right.
Because, a lot of his actors have come across from other things, and it's just like, The big controversial one, of course, is his wife. A lot of people...
She's in everything?
Yeah. I want it mentioned that there are creators out there who bring back their friends and that we
Right.
don't care. We're fine with it because they're such good actors. Right? Funnily enough, Michael Rooker comes into loads of James Gunn projects. No
Yeah.
one highlights that as a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because we love Michael Rooker. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the movie with the evil Superman kid? I forgot.
Oh, Brightburn.
Brightburn.
I really enjoyed that actually.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Superman,
You
but
didn't
evil. I find it lame.
Okay.
but
Okay.
it could be done well. I'm not going to deny that.
They're entertaining. They're popcorn munchers, you know.
Hmm.
But what would
Anything-
you want to see with Star Wars going forward? So let me ask you the same question.
Oh, so we're decanon everything from I guess 2013 when the deal was made. 2012, I forget. Yeah, it's all gone. We're decanonizing everything, and we're recanonizing a bunch of stuff. I'm more than happy for Force Unleashed to be canon. I never put that much of it. Like there's, I think you highlighted prequels, for example. There's plenty of criticisms we can levy. We can talk all day about the sort of failings of it. But I think the prequels, and this is something the sequels can't claim, they created such a strong Star Wars culture. Like they churned the fans around on all kinds of merchandise and engagement. A lot of people will tell you that it's the opposite. From videos that sort of recap history, they'll be like the prequels practically annihilated Star Wars. And I'm just sitting there like, I was there, man. I don't think it may have skewered some of the current day fans, but created an enormous set of new fans.
Twinings, drinking live.
Yeah, a lot of people pick prequels over the OT.
How
Meanwhile,
old are you? If I can ask.
I'm 30.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and I saw them as I saw the OT when I was super young. Dad made sure of that, and then prequels, I adored them. I still adore them. I am probably more critical of them than you are, but that's I assume we can share a love on those. It's,
I could rip apart, you know. But
Okay.
At the same time, I'm just so.
It's a podcast idea.
Yeah,
just
dude,
spend the whole time over the prequels.
I could rip apart the prequels for sure, but at the same time, I just understand the characters. I think so well that I think that's what I'm laying out for it. It just doesn't. Yeah, but I mean, each episode I could absolutely dissect and rip apart, but I've never really done that.
And that aspect, I think, has completely lost the ability to sort of, because I remember playing all the games on like GameCube and stuff, and then just knowing, you know, the talks. It's like there were 3 films across. It was 99, 2001, 2003, right? That was it.
Yep.
And look at Disney Star Wars. They tried.
99, 2002, 2005.
Oh right, yeah. It's even further the gaps. That's what I'm highlighting, right? Like there's 3-year gap. Meanwhile, Disney confidently announced 1 Star Wars movie per year. And then that got ruined because, as you highlighted with the TV shows, right, that they're like filler things that are supposed to keep us busy until the next big thing comes out.
Right.
I feel like the Solo movie was the first example of, well, that didn't feel like an event. That felt like filler. That felt like a weird thing that no one wanted.
Absolutely.
But I don't know, because like again, I say all this stuff and I'm like, oh wait, do you guys like Solo? Or how do you feel about the Solo movie?
No, I mean, Solo to me was fine, but at the same time, I have no attachment to it whatsoever.
I was,
I just like seeing Darth Maul. It's
Solo's
Someone told me that they broke up with their girlfriends. Like, I'm not going to be feeling that way. I have no investment in my girlfriend. I don't have any emotions. It's the same sort of thing with Solo. It's like, okay, I'm impartial to it.
It's a really good in-flight movie. Like if it's on there, I might click on it.
I probably wouldn't even click on it. To be honest. Yeah. It was okay, but it wasn't anything needed.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. I think that was their first realization. Whoa, we can't Marvelize Star Wars, and at this point, they can't even Marvelize Marvel. That's completely fine. And so, like, the culture is almost like taking a break. Star Wars is taking a break, and that might be the best thing to do. A lot of people in my spheres sort of recommend like just stop, don't make anything for like 5 years. You guys need to make people be like, man, I miss Star Wars, instead of being like, man, I guess I can watch the newest. What is it? Man, that's
agree.
Okay.
No, I disagree. If it's something that's totally Star Wars, everyone's going to be back on board. I mean, remember the energy after Mando Season 2?
I don't know if that's aged as well as, let's take a lot of the other best stuff of the Star Wars sort of tenure.
In the moment, it was, Star Wars was very hot.
Well, maybe that's worth we talking about, because that might be another difference between us. I see that as hollow, that event at the end of Mando Season 2, and I saw it as like it's got no longevity. because there was nothing substantive. We can't talk about that moment like we can the end of Return of the Jedi. We could spend a whole podcast talking about that scene with Luke and Vader, but we can't do that with the end of Mando Season 2.
No, it was just an action scene. It was a cool scene. That's all it was. But it led us into prospecting for more, theorizing what could come. And that's what really had fans watering at the mouth. Like the sequel trilogy, like the last Jedi, when the trailers are out, they're like, holy shit, we're gonna finally see Luke. Like, what's he gonna be like? Oh my god.
Yeah, and who Kylo was and what his journey was going to be, and
And
you know
who Rey
whose
was.
parents raised. Like, where's all of that now? It's nobody cares.
No, because they ruined it. But if they had gone and actually continued that trajectory and that creativity, oh my god, we'd be in such a different place. If Kenobi was good, if Mando 3 was good, I mean, we'd be in a completely different headspace right now.
The thing that I see about like the OT and even the prequels is the sort of expression of like content that we're enjoying at the time, engaged with, we're getting payoff, and we've got stuff to look forward to in the future, mystery and reveals and stuff. Meanwhile, the best Disney seems to offer is only that part, the mystique. And I think people would see right through it at this point. It's getting worse and worse. The half-life of the mysteries are getting worse and worse.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. For sure. But if they can continue, you know, they give us like a really good meal, and I keep taking it back to the food, but they give us a really good meal, and then they give us something that's, you're like, what the fuck is this? I didn't order this. But then they give you a really great dessert, and you're like, okay, it's like, yeah, it's you could explain it many other ways, but essentially that's what it's like. You're just constantly confused. So
I do think you're right, though. If they were to release some great Star Wars content, we could get back on the horse relatively quickly. Like, if they did a trilogy that was top-notch, Star Wars would be reinvigorated as a fan base. The whole reason and idea behind the breaking of it, the stopping, is that we can kind of try to forget what it is right now, which is an embarrassing IP, and that we can be like, we're ready. Because a break can do a lot. Like, George Lucas knew this. He understood it pretty well, seemingly. It's like, he managed to mine Star Wars, one of the most profitable IPs in history. And you look back and you're like, wait a minute, 3 movies, and then he waited that long and then did another 3? Like, yeah, that's how powerful Star Wars was. And, you know, what if they... Well, that too, but like, he could have been making a lot more, right? We got a few extra things and a lot of like, you know, extended stuff. But if he had...
But George isn't really the type to milk something. He's the type to milk the
Yeah, which again...
He cares about the story.
I assume you guys know that some of the stats on that, like the merchandise falling apart for Star Wars, the
Yeah, it's
engagement
destroyed.
and the...
I know people that work actually in selling the merch, and all the raised shirts and secret Code shirts, and all the items and memorabilia just not stuck on shelves. Things from, you know, how 20 million, 20, 30, 40 years ago, like bigger than you guys.
When I worked at Disney, that was the only thing that was left on the shelves. But it was stuff from the OT and the prequels and that kind of stuff. It was always sold out. Day one, everybody bought it. The stuff that was left over was the stuff for the sequels at the time. And then that was also before Mando Season 1, so that was literally all that was out at the time, and the pegs were always full of that stuff.
I assume you guys covered the Reva lightsaber didn't get funded. There wasn't enough people to even start up.
Oh, it did get
Yep.
funded? So that was such a joke, because if it would have been just titled Grand Inquisitor, it probably would have got back, because there's a lot of people that like the Grand Inquisitor from Rebels. Not necessarily Kenobi show, but because it said Reva on it, on the box, on the plate where you would display it, but it was just an Inquisitor lightsaber, so why not just call it Inquisitor lightsaber? That
It's
was
the same
ridiculous.
thing with the Skywalker Legacy Rey saber, but it just looks like the regular Luke Skywalker, Anakin Rey Sith lightsaber. It was just the way that it was marketed as Rey's saber that you can still find it in Galaxy's Edge all over the place. It's in stock.
Here's a question: if the timeline of Star Wars' future was gonna be stuff like Mando Season 2's finale exclusively, pretty much that, would you guys consider that a good outcome?
No.
Why?
Well, I need more than just a swashbuckler, you know.
Yeah, obviously, I don't just mean that scene over and over again. I mean, like, if the content would be characters, you know, doing things you recognize that they would do, but not much in terms of dialogue or development.
No.
That would be a bad outcome.
It's not what I would want to see at all. I'm sorry, so much more than just Anakin swinging his lightsaber with Darth Vader. People forget that the OT was primarily a lot of not just world building, but also character building and dialogue. And so that's why when the prequels came out, people were like, well, what's with this dialogue? It's like, yeah, the dialogue in the prequels wasn't the best. It was pretty rough. But at least we're getting a point across of the story being told with the characters.
And that's my concern, and that's what my video that people mentioned to you is all about. The first 5 minutes I talk about an episode that's similar to one of the ones of Ahsoka to Futurama, and the one from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then I focus on Ahsoka and talk about like the difference in writing disciplines and how Star Wars is heading, at least in terms of its praise and criticism, to a place where we're not going to be getting anywhere near. It's going to be much hollow, much more hollow, and much more focused on how everyone perceives characters. Like I can't remember. I think it's Robert Meyer Burnett put it this way: that Star Wars is just it's about Star Wars. It's not about characters. It's not about journeys and stories to tell. It's about the meta of itself trying to live. It's like a Ouroboros or a vampire eating its own blood. Like it's desperately trying to stay alive now because it damaged itself so much it doesn't know what else to do, and that's Disney's fault, obviously.
Right.
But that's my concern and my fear that's all we're gonna get now. That's the best of it, is to see Luke, CGI monstrosity, saying like the Force maybe. Oh, when he's gone.
He's one with the Force now.
He was having camera issues beforehand, so
It could be that.
it could be that. Which
Are we
I would
live or?
Oh yeah, we're still
We're
live.
still live.
It's the three of us now. It
All
really
right.
is rule of three now.
Rule of three.
It's our show. So Mauler, have you watched the Clone Wars or Rebels at all? The animated stuff?
Ooh,
I
yeah.
watched season 1 of the Clone Wars, and I think I watched part of season 2 of the Clone Wars, and then I said like, okay, this isn't for me.
Yeah, those are like the worst too. It starts to pick up like season 3. There's a
Four
lot
or
of
five.
there's a lot of filler, but there's some really, really good arcs in there. Did you watch Rebels at all?
A friend of mine that I considered quite trustworthy said that Clone Wars is better than Rebels by far, and so if you didn't like Clone Wars, you're not gonna like Rebels. I was like, all right, fine, I'll stay away from that. It's not my thing.
I dig that take.
What about Tales though? Tales was short.
Tales of the Jedi. I was less aware of this, and considering the praise you guys have given it, I'm more than willing to check it out. If it's,
It's better than
Oh.
both Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yep, 100%, 100%.
Yeah,
It's-
all right. Well,
it's
yeah,
six-
I'll put that on the list.
It's
Now-
6 episodes and they're like 12 to 15 minutes each. It's very quick, but it's 3 episodes about Ahsoka and 3 episodes about Dooku.
And as much as you liked Ahsoka,
Oh, you haven't seen
I don't.
Tales?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how much you'd enjoy maybe the Ahsoka content. I don't know how much you like Ahsoka as a character, considering you're not really the biggest fan of Clone Wars, and obviously you're not the biggest fan of the Ahsoka show. So seeing a couple episodes where it's specifically building into her story and fitting into parts in her timeline.
be
But
fair-
the Dooku stuff is awesome.
It's the Dooku stuff
Yeah.
that blew me away.
Yep.
I don't even remember the Ahsoka episodes. I remember just
Ahsoka
Dooku
and
Qui-Gon.
her live action show. I just thought I didn't hate her. I just thought she was lame. I didn't get a lot out of her. And then Sabine is the one I probably took the most issue with. And then Hera, I thought was completely wasted. And it sucks because they're all actresses, man. I know Mary Elizabeth Winstead can act. I know that Rosario Dawson can act. And they weren't pushed at all. Most of it was very dry and, well, static, I guess.
But there's a reason for that. It's because of the time in the Empire. They're not going to be hopeful and go lucky until she shifts into the white version.
I'm not looking for that. I just want an emotional performance of any kind, because you get glimpses every once in a while. One of the bigger examples I think we had on EFAP was when they're in that space battle and she tells Sabine how they're going to be taking out the ships, and they get one in like a unified way. Or I think she gives her the signal. She says she wants to shout now. Now, a lot of characters will go, now! Like they've got to get really into it, energy.
Yeah.
And Rosario Dawson goes, now! And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I felt that. Like,
Yeah.
damn.
No, I know what you're saying about that. But it's also like, I feel like you have the same sort of thoughts about Luke when he entered the room in Mando Season 2 finale, where he just didn't really ask questions. He was just pretty calm and quiet. But that's
Yeah.
who Luke is. Like, he doesn't need to ask questions, because the questions that he needs answered, he already knows the answer to. And if he doesn't, it doesn't matter, because he's going to.
He wouldn't be able to have a lot of the answers for why these people are here exactly and what their nature is and what they've done.
He doesn't care.
Right? Luke doesn't care?
I don't think he cares. No, because he is sitting up here where he's come to take the child. Everyone else with their own problems or whatever it might be, it doesn't matter to him. He's on a different journey.
11th, the most unforgettable day of the year.
I don't buy it. I'm sorry. I think that Luke would be very invested in knowing how this all came to be, why they're even on this particular ship, why were the robots after them, what's going on here, like, and to get to know people. Luke's a very personable guy.
Yeah. Yeah. But you also got to say 5 years after he defeated the Emperor and Vader for what the galaxy thinks. So he doesn't really know who he can trust at this point. He doesn't know who he can trust from the child. He knows that he's force sensitive. He's like a baby Yoda. And he knows that the Empire, whoever the remnants of them, want him. And so he doesn't need to say much. He's a boss. Walks in the room, takes the kid, pieces out. Does what he needs to do.
There you go. I guess we disagree on what Luke would have done in that scenario.
What do you think? Well, if you were writing that episode, and let's say when it had to go, what would you put it?
So I need to know, I need to be sure of, and this is the thing, it's a complication of canon, what Luke would perceive as the people in their uniforms and why they would be there in that room, and then what interest he would have in figuring out why this would all be happening. Obviously, the information on Moff Gideon, that's a huge deal. It's like, what is this guy, and what does he represent, what's going on with the Empire? That's a huge problem we have in Ahsoka and some other stuff. It's like, where is Luke? Why isn't he aware of all this stuff? We know he's sitting on a planet right now, meditating, when he should be actively involved. This is absurd. Like, he's one of the most invested in making sure the horrors of the Empire would never rise again, that sort of stuff. But of course, they're building to the sequel trilogy now, so I wonder if they're tethered to the fact that they've got to get him out of interest for galaxy concerns and his own family.
I think that they're actually going to go to the point where Luke is going to be through it. Because Ahsoka is completely gone. She's trapped in that other galaxy, and now Luke has to be. He's the only one in this galaxy now. Well, besides Cal Kestis, but I mean, what's he doing?
Do you worry that we're heading toward the sequels and so they're going to have to build it that way?
Of course I worry.
Yeah?
Of course I worry. Of course, man. I'm always worried, bro, when it comes to Disney.
I think that one of the most embarrassing misses from them is showing us that Ahsoka and Luke met and they talked about nothing.
Dude. Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to see.
Can you imagine the conversations those two could have?
Yeah. It could.
And what do we get? It's like, you're
That's
so
all
much
I
like
have.
your father. It's like, okay.
That's all I have is imagination.
Yeah, that's the situation we're in.
You know, it's all we got. Anyway, see what happens. Hopefully it turns out all right.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, at least, we'll all be along for the ride.
Hell yeah. I mean, it sounds like we were all in the camp of please get better. Please get
We're in the same
better.
camp. I don't think there's anything really that we disagree on for the most part in terms of core values at all.
Sometimes I wonder if that's the same for literally everyone. It's just the internet creates it relies on like the tribalism of humans at the core. And we split off and then we start to get really aggressive and cartoon versions of each other are sent to each other. You know what I mean? Like your worst takes and my worst takes are tumbled into an insane version and then sent to people and be like, oh, that's who that is?
Yep.
That's what they think?
But that can be said for so many people online.
All of those people aren't going to listen to this 2-hour live stream. They're just going to click the park and wait for something new to come out on.
Well, I was actually going to say, I hope you guys don't mind if I can put this on our EFAB channel, at least the parlor I'm in, so that they can know that you and I have spoken, because they...
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah. And that goes for anyone else too. If you want to take clips and stuff and post it on social media. It's all good.
Excited for any particular project coming up for Star Wars?
Tells the story.
Yeah, okay.
Again,
How do you feel about Ahsoka Season 2 in terms of, like, excitement of quality?
I'm pretty excited for it because I know that Ahsoka's out now. And it's we got rid of all the fluff and the exposition and all that for the new characters, and we're now focusing on Luke. I hope. Who else is going to stay in that?
Well, I mean, if it was called Ahsoka Season 2, I presume we'll spend most of it on that other galaxy, right?
Well, I would assume many things about Disney Star Wars.
How'd you feel about the Pandaverse episode of South Park?
Oh, dude, it was amazing.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's about time, and it's so weird to me that so many people online are basically saying that they're making fun of people like us. And, like,
So one of the takes I had from first seeing it, I said this to my friends at the time, I said it to Gary from Nerdrotic about it on stream. It's like, I kind of wish they took more shots at us. It was a little weak on that side of things. It was way heavy toward Disney, which perhaps that should be how it is, right? There's a balance between us and a mega billionaire corporation. Not exactly like we should be 50-50.
No.
But it's funny that I had that perspective, and then I saw people online being like, you guys, you fools. The episode's all about how horrible you are. It's like,
I don't
think so.
I kind of missed that memo. But, we'll see about how Emily's dropped the ball, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sure, whatever you want. Whatever helps you sleep at night. No problem.
I think they're going to try and claim it no matter what. That's another weird thing. Everyone wants to claim whatever particularly like high loved art as their representative.
Yeah.
Because South Park is known for making fun of everybody.
Yeah.
That's why I love them.
Yeah, I know. But that's also real. You can't make fun of everyone because there's always that one group of people who can have a problem with it, but they can laugh at everyone else.
Yep.
But not themselves.
Yep.
I mean, we were talking about it last week. George Lucas was the biggest fan of the Family Guy specials of Blue Harvest and stuff like that. I mean, he's the guy who made it. He loved being made fun of for it. I mean, as long as it was tasteful and it made sense and the points were funny, I mean, that's what it's all about. So, and it just made us, I know for me, we were talking about it last week, like, it just made me more of a fan of Star Wars watching Blue Harvest when that was coming out. I was, in middle school or whatever? And seeing that, being like, oh, this is cool, this is hilarious, Star Wars is being made fun of, that didn't make me dislike Empire anymore.
Right.
It's just, it's all part of it, and that's what comedy is supposed to be. And I think that's what, honestly, all media should be. And if you can't stand up to that being made fun of, then you probably don't have the base to stand on to begin with.
Oh, dude. Yeah. People who throw stones, you'd be surprised how many of them live in little glass houses. If you make one tweet and then you got a few people coming after them, they're like, you said everyone to harass me.
Yep.
Or you literally have
Oh
a tweet
my God.
that's like got 3 million views on it about slandering me. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Am I just supposed to sit here and say, hey, take it, give it to me? No, man, I'm not going to do that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, it's insane. The entitlement of I should be able to throw anything I can at you, and if you have
You can't
one
say
more
anything.
subscriber than me, then you can't say anything back.
Yep.
You incite violence, you horrible human.
Picking on the little guy.
Yeah, literally. No,
Well, maybe you shouldn't have picked on the corporation. How about that?
Don't fucking come to the den of a bear and wake him up when he's sleeping, and then wonder why you get swatted. It's just, don't poke at a hornet's nest. What are you doing?
Yep.
I don't understand all this tech. But yeah, that's their thing. It's okay. But, you know, we're supposed to be the bigger man. We're supposed to be the one who doesn't say anything, doesn't defend ourselves. That's whatever. It is what it is. We'll see.
Mahler, what's your last? I know you're probably going to say Andor, but like, if you had to give your next 2 under that list, under Andor, what would it be? Not counting the original 6.
So Disney Star Wars was my
Yeah.
next.
Yep.
Maybe Rogue One, and then Mando.
And
Season
it's a
1.
real long drop before you pick something else.
Mando Season 1, I was quite positive about in the first, I think, 3 episodes, despite my issues with a couple like bits of the writing. I think it was either the 3rd or the 4th one. There's an episode where they have to deal with an ATST. Is that 4?
In the woods?
Yeah.
I want to kill myself watching that because everyone's so retarded. They have a ship and they don't think to use that against the ATST the whole episode. Instead to train a bunch of villagers and sharpen sticks and stuff. I'm not going to get into it. Of course, I need to rewatch it to give you guys better arguments, but I was just like, no, what the hell's going on? And I sort of looked back and I was like, oh, I think I was way too nice to this show because I was so desperate for we've talked about it on our show so many times before it came out. We want this bounty hunter disconnected from everything. Could be a Mandalorian, could be whatever. He's just trying to make his way. Classic line. You want to see that shit. And the big problem I had with Mando, the end of season 1 and then season 2, season 3, it's like Mando's starting to become one of the most important characters in the Star Wars universe, who's collecting like trinkets from all the main characters and meeting everyone. I was just like, no, man. I thought he was supposed to be like a Lone Ranger out there doing his thing in the Star Wars world, but he's become incredibly important. And something I actually wouldn't mind talking with you guys about is like, do you have any issue with Ahsoka becoming more and more important and powerful and centered?
I don't, but like,
That's kind of character development, so that's fine.
yeah. So for us, we've seen all 7 seasons of Clone Wars. We've seen 4 seasons of Rebels and Tales, so we know her whole story. So for us, there's a lot more there. And like you not seeing all that and just seeing what you got in Ahsoka, I can see why you had that perspective. So for me, I don't mind it because it was built up in all the animated. You had to have seen all of it.
I prefer Ahsoka being a spotlight character over Rey being a spotlight character.
Yeah.
Agreed there.
No.
You know what I mean? I think I was in 5th grade when the Clone Wars started coming out. So like me as a fan of Ahsoka for so long, like now being older and being able to pinpoint like, oh, that's probably not the best writing decision, but still being a fan of Ahsoka, I think that I have more of the affinity for seeing her get the spotlight versus somebody like Rey. However, or Reva. But however, in this timeline, there are people, to use Reva as an example of like, I would rather see an Obi-Wan Kenobi show about Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker versus Reva and everybody else they threw at us versus who we actually saw in Kenobi. So when you ask about spotlight, it's like, I enjoy seeing Ahsoka in the spotlight, but that doesn't mean if I had to choose between Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker post Return of the Jedi, I would choose Ahsoka. I'd choose Luke Skywalker every day of the week. But it's just, in terms of preference, when you're digging through that Lego bucket of characters to play with, it's like, I'd rather play with Ahsoka than play with Reva, you know what I mean?
And sorry, Star Wars Sith, you made a very good point. That's going to be informing a lot of my perception, which is why I usually try and branch out and ask people different questions to find out more. And something I didn't know, because I hadn't seen those particular episodes, is that, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Ahsoka was almost... Sorry, that just distracted me. Ahsoka was almost dead. She was going to die, and Ezra pulls her.
Yeah.
She died a couple times.
Yeah.
She's died like 3 times now.
She died in Clone Wars. She died in Rebels,
She
and then
just can't
Ezra brought her
die.
back. Yeah. So the interesting thing in Clone Wars was the Mortis arc, where she died on Mortis, and the Mortis god used her life essence to bring her back to life.
Deus
so that's
Ex
why
Machina.
that's why she's kind of like a Mortis god right now. So like you should watch those episodes, the 3 Mortis arc episodes for Clone Wars, and it'll make that ending of Ahsoka a lot more meaningful with Balin on the statue of the 3 Mortis gods.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a broad writing sense, right, that goal, we've moved her to being incredibly important, and she's been saved from death twice. Sorry, even maybe 3 times, I'm not sure.
Twice.
3rd times now
Meanwhile,
as Ahsoka.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yes. Meanwhile, someone who has possibly the most dramatic importance to the universe actively and currently has been sidelined to the point of not even... Was he mentioned in Ahsoka, Luke Skywalker?
Oh no.
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 Thrawn says Thrawn is scared of the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, but is going to end up in the new galaxy with 2 literal offspring of Anakin Skywalker and didn't know about it.
So, like, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Not that Ahsoka shouldn't be important, because she absolutely should, but that I feel like the focus is on her at the expense of Luke.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'd much rather have it be on Luke. And they kind of ruined that with how they portrayed Luke in The Last Jedi. From there, it was downhill. But no, yeah, I'd much rather have that focus be on Luke from the beginning. But, I mean, that's not what we got.
Yeah, I think that's more of a Disney thing of being able to give a character like Ahsoka the spotlight. And, I mean, you could use the whole, like you said about the Skinwalker thing of like, they don't have to do CGI.
I have a surprise. The New York Times, Vanity Fair, and Rolling Stone are all talking about The Holdovers. 4 stars. It's raucously funny and irresistibly entertaining. The Holdovers.
CGI on Ahsoka to give her the spotlight and do all this stuff. But like for Luke Skywalker, you got to deal with, okay, do we bring back Mark Hamill? Do we bring back a CGI? Do we do it all in animation? So there's more hoops when it comes to Luke. If I had to choose them jumping through all of those hoops versus Ahsoka, like I said, yeah, I don't care what happens in Clone Wars. I don't care what happens in Rebels. I love Ahsoka, but like, give me Luke Skywalker.
I think you're absolutely correct. But we do know they have more budget to do it, and we do know they have a particular attitude when it comes to Luke Skywalker. We've seen it play out. And I guess to finally add to that as well, they even gave Leia, you know, action and agency in this season, but not Luke. Leia wasn't even seen. Carrie Fisher's gone. And we still got more effort, more interest, and more involvement from Leia.
So part of that though is in Rebels because Leia was in a couple episodes of Rebels, so she has a relationship with Ezra and Hera. So that's why that kind of ties in and makes sense that she would help her in Ahsoka because they were did a couple missions in Rebels.
Not to say it wouldn't make sense that Luke Skywalker would show up. You know what I mean?
It was the writer's decision to not have Luke.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think there's also that thing of maybe now with, I know, like you said about Mandalorian 2 finale and Book of Boba Fett is maybe they chose somebody like Leia not to involve Luke as like we don't want to overuse him sort of thing, and we'll keep the magic where the magic is. And I know it was the Skinwalker situation for you, but like for a lot of people, I know at least for me, like I was in the same boat of like tears in my eyes watching Luke Skywalker return. As much as it was him in a hood and we don't see his face until the end, it's like that felt the most like Luke Skywalker to me coming off Last Jedi. So I guess the whole, I would assume the whole we don't want to overuse him thing comes into play, as much as I don't agree with that. I don't think you can overuse Luke Skywalker as long as you're using him correctly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you guys think of Taika Waititi making it canon that stormtroopers can't shoot for shit?
I mean, it
Taika
seems like
Waititi.
stormtroopers are. But that's the thing in Andor, stormtroopers.
Yep. Which is cool.
In Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, which is great. Which is then Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan
Kenobi.
Who slapped in the head. Just
I
popped
am-
in the face. Ooh.
Yeah.
I was losing it when I saw that finale where they like have him be like, I can't even shoot a can. I was like, why would you do that? Why? Like,
When Anakin slashed
yeah.
not even the second time too. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, the excuse of I've seen people like on Twitter think of like people posting anatomical like organs of
God.
people being like, well, if the lightsaber goes to this exact point, it's not going to affect them as much as they can because of the technology at this point. It's like she's a kid. Like if you get stabbed, you get stabbed. There's no way. Maybe it's the Force or whatever. There's no way he knows exactly where to stab her twice. Are you kidding me?
We had a very angry comment when we pointed out like how the Inquisitor guy, he got stabbed too and he's alive too, and then someone was like, they have two stomachs, idiot.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
It sucks to not have them both. So what? Sabine, the Grand Inquisitor, Reva twice. They've all been able to come back with the medical advancements.
Poor Qui-Gon.
However, Qui-Gon Jinn.
Pulling out for Qui-Gon. I can't believe they had Liam Neeson and they got him in the outfit just to do that.
There should have been more in there, man.
Crazy.
Like, there should have been more. Like, there was a couple times he was calling to him, and like, he should have came in those moments. But just at the very end, like, come on, man.
For me, that whole show led up to what I wanted to see in the show. Like, as much as I wanted to see Ewan and Hayden return, like, the most interesting parts to me about Obi-Wan in the deserts is like him going into that nomad, learning about the Force with Qui-Gon as a Force ghost. So once that show ended, I was like, cool. Hopefully, if they do a season 2, that's the actual. I wish that just started the show. Like, the Hayden stuff was great, but I would have rather just seen where they left off. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I have so many ideas for that. I'm sure you guys did as well.
Yeah.
Dude, of course. I mean, there was supposed to be a
ton.
trilogy before that, and then it became something else.
I think everybody had 10 years worth of ideas, from a movie to a show to 3 movies to whatever we got. So everybody had an idea. It's just somehow that's the one that stuck.
Somehow, Palpatine returned.
Classic.
He's coming back.
Yeah, probably
Yep.
again.
We'll see him again with the cloning
leads
stuff.
me to the Rey movies. Like, what the? I don't know.
Yeah, to start off with the Rey movie after not being in the theaters for like 6, 7, 8 years, whenever this drops, is ridiculous.
It's the most wild double down. And what's strange, and the thing that I always bring up in terms of outside of like the story in the movies is like Galaxy's Edge is supposed to take place in the time of the sequels, which is why you don't see anybody from the OT or the prequels or anywhere else. But like recently they've realized that like, oh, people don't want to just go take pictures with Rey and Kylo Ren. They'd like to see other people. However, instead of giving you the OT and the prequels characters. They've given you Ahsoka and Hera and Chopper. It's like as much as people would like to go see them, it's just that stretch of rather than giving the people what they want, they'll give the people kind of what they want, but in the terms of what's going to make them the most money of, hey, this is a show that's coming out right now. And Boba Fett. So it's just, I think that's the perfect example of, hey, we're going to really stick to this. We're really going to go off on, this is just the sequels, and this is where you have to live. And it's an experience when you go there. I mean, you saw what happened with the whole hotel situation. It's so strange what they choose to throw money at, you know what I mean? And I think we were talking about Andor earlier of the money. It's like, I'm not mad that Andor got all that money. I'm mad that Kenobi did it and a show like She-Hulk did, regardless of the amount of money it got. If it was a $1 million show, like you said, and it was great, I would have loved that. But it wasn't, and at the end of the day, all I can say is maybe that would have helped. You know what I mean? So, in terms of quality.
Oh, like I said, man, just get someone who loves Star Wars in a cave with Ewan McGregor, and they can make a better
An
show.
iPhone and a flip phone.
Yeah. What a shame.
What are you going to do?
Nothing you can really do. Just hope for the best. And that's kind of like my whole idea with Star Wars going forward. It's like, well, I'm not really judging it on what we used to have. We're judging it on what it is nowadays. Like, what's the best that we can get?
Baller, I would love your opinion on that. What's his name? The director who came out and said that he would only do a Star Wars movie if he had to rewrite the jump of just using Luke and Han and do a New Hope, but in the way that he wants to.
Was that Matthew Vaughn?
I forget. It was the guy who did the King's.
I think that is, yeah, horrible fucking idea. Never, ever. It's something that Nerdrotic has said is going to be the sort of the death knell of Star Wars as an IP is when they announced the remake of the 18 on Slate. What a huge mistake that would be.
Yeah.
Enormous mistake. You're not going to do better. I'm sorry.
It's crazy. Like at
remaking the prequels, they wouldn't do better. They're not going to.
It's just wild at this point that Star Wars is in such a place where, when that got posted on Twitter, there were the people of like, well, Star Wars is great right now, so maybe he'll do something better with it. Where it's like people are so desperate for Star Wars that isn't what we've been getting recently, that they would go with recasting everybody from jump, do a completely New Hope, and just him be the George Lucas of that New Hope story. It's just wild. It's gotten to that place, you know?
It's so unfortunate because I would happily have him make something in the Star Wars universe. I don't want to remake the OT. Like, no.
Yeah.
Especially because you'd think it would be basic math. It's like, you guys understand, the OT and the prequels as foundations, but what's keeping everything alive. Like, people come back to it, they think about it, they want more from that era, they want more of those characters they fell in love with. The idea that you want to try and paint over them? Like, no.
Yeah.
And then to create their own kind of story on top of it. It's like they're just creating something that they think works, but they're not going. Like, how could they take George's
Yeah, the wills and stuff, right?
No,
Ball.
that was
Oh, okay.
yeah, it was in 2019. Where he spoke with Paul Duncan and created a 2-run archive list of Star Wars archives 1 to 3, and then 4 to 6. And I had the privilege of speaking with Paul Duncan and interviewing him on the channel, and he full-on sat with me and George gave him the full outline for the sequel trilogy that he was going to make. And it involved Darth Maul filling in the void that was... So there was a massive void in the galaxy because Palpatine died, and all of these different planets had different loyalists or people using their gangs and groups trying to take advantage of this void and trying to claim power. And so then you had Maul that comes in with his current syndicate that he's very familiar with, and you had Darth Talon who started off with the Jedi Order again and try to find new students, and Leia was going to be a very major focal point of her story where she would rise to political power herself. And so we were supposed to get that story with George, but we didn't.
Well,
I would have much rather seen that.
yeah, interesting idea, but what if Rey was to build the Jedi Temple?
I think she's going to in this new movie, right?
That's what I'm saying, that's what's happening.
Is that the deal?
Oh my god.
That's why I was thinking that would be cool. Like, is that what Dave is trying to do now with Luke and bring Maul back with the Night Sisters and all this stuff. They're gonna
Going to
resurrect
Dathomir.
him or something. That's why I'm thinking, oh, they're gonna like Maul because before the sequel trilogy, before Disney's sequel trilogy, to kind of give everyone a happy. I don't know. We'll see.
Because he's leading to a movie, right? A Mandoverse movie.
Yeah.
There was
I think
that
we're gonna
rumor
get
that it was supposed to be called Heir to the Empire. That was a rumor for a while.
I think we're gonna get season 2 of Ahsoka, and then we're going to get season 4 of Mando, maybe season 2 of Boba Fett before we get that.
That was a huge misstep with Mando season 3, from what I saw with fans online.
Massive.
Lizzo, baby.
Oh God.
Well, because I'm assuming you guys felt the same way, but when the Mando episodes were injected into Boba Fett, there was this realization of like, wait, did you just reset like the ending of Mando season 2? Yeah, I watched season 3 now. Yes, I did. Yep. And that has to have been done out of panic, I suppose. Like the formula, it's been so good, people love it. We got to keep it going.
Yeah.
To sell more Grogu stuff.
Well, then
probably.
to say that Grogu was with Luke for 2 years.
That was confusing.
Yeah.
Can we see that? Like what?
No, you cannot.
Yeah.
Yep.
You cannot see any of the conversations that Ahsoka had with Luke during that 2 years as well.
We'll get a comic in 2030 of what Luke is doing with Grogu on that
Yeah,
planet.
and that's what these.
Do you think it was weird that he sent Grogu back with R2D2?
Like a
Alone.
Uber, like a space
God.
Uber.
Like
Yeah.
like no
That was
respect.
so strange.
I thought Luke was gonna pop up there in that final fight, and I was kind of hyped because we were gonna see Luke again, but nothing.
Yep.
Nothing.
He doesn't care, guys. Luke's busy. Okay. That's my big concern is that we're building up to the hobo Luke who doesn't care about anything and wants to die.
Probably. But what I'm hoping is that Dave would create some sort of a hero Luke like he was supposed to be, like George wanted him to be. In this span between things.
What's interesting though is in canon right now, I'm pretty sure, like with the Battlefront stuff and the Shadows of the Sith, these comics and all that, and obviously Dave has said multiple times that he doesn't think that stuff, and he wants when he comes after it. But like in terms of canon right now, he's supposed to be like going off to find Force archives and holocrons and Jedi archives and going on adventures during this time. However, we don't know if that was in the 5 years between Return of the Jedi and we see it with Grogu. Maybe he's done by that point. Maybe that already happened in those 5 years. So I don't know. It's just now that it's after, it's that good point of like how soon is Luke going to turn into what we saw in the sequels. And there's that Shadows of the Sith book where he's like fighting like shadow monsters, but Anakin's Force Ghost comes back, and that's what made it so Anakin's Force Ghost didn't show up in the sequels because he used too much of his Force essence and dissipated into the Force.
I didn't read the book for that reason. I thought it was cool that Anakin came in there because we didn't really have any Anakin. And then I was like,
Yeah.
Their canon. Sorry to interrupt. Their canon is absolutely nuts. Like I remember when I was trying to do a deep dive at TFA, I was reading about how I was trying to get into like how did this happen with Poe? If you guys remember, it was quite public. Poe was supposed to die in the first act. He compelled them to keep him in.
Yeah.
Okay, we bring you back. I remember being like, what could possibly explain what the hell happened and where was he? And there was like a book that came out way later that was like, okay, so he gets out of there and he avoids like coverage from any of the incoming First Order. He goes to the village and he's looking for Finn. Oh, he's just missed him. And then he sort of heads back and yes, it makes sense. It totally, all of it makes sense. It's just like
It's all these weird band-aids after the fact.
Yeah.
It's fans are loud enough of like, hey, this doesn't make sense. And the story group goes back into the room looking like the Charlie Day meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and like, it doesn't make sense. How do we make it make sense? So they put out a
I feel
full
so sorry
comic.
for those writers of those like tertiary third-party books that are supposed to connect all this shit. Like I remember one of them was supposed to explain Kylo Ren just fully. It was like, okay, here it is, the definitive take on his life, how he came from where he was, how he got to where. It's just like so fucking hard to follow. You get those 3 movies, it's a different character every time. Same for Hux, by the way. I never would have pegged that he would be the most inconsistent character across the 3 movies. He's like a different person every time.
Baller, would you have preferred the Duel of the Fates script for the Rise of Skywalker movie?
Probably yes.
Yeah.
From the things I saw in it. Rise of Skywalker. So
Challenges with mental health or substance use can affect anyone.
Friend, one of your friends saying, "Oh, nothing to hide." So did your job, which you working on. I saw you out. I saw you go in a closet, so I know what you want. I'm not a hacker. I've been playing this game since its release. 4,000 hours in this game. 4,000 hours. It's beginner team too. So what's going to be somebody? Oh, this tells me I'm hacking. At least once in a week. Such a strong perk, nowhere to hide. It's very simple, guys. And I have a raincoat. And these two perks can tell you every time person finish a jam, you guys pop it up and I know where you are. With information, I can assume where you're hiding. It's very easy to tell. Become a damage generator. I know where you are. It's easy to tell. A lot of information. It's so simple, guys. Come on, just don't accuse me of hacking. I spend so much hours in this game. How many hours I spend on Dead by Daylight? Let's just see. Well, this is obviously around number 1,000, because last time I was here, this hour was like 3,000 hours. Something glitched over. I spent over 3,000 years in this game. It's quite. It's not very hard to predict where you guys go. I play Survivor myself multiple times. Okay, well, I'll go back to my Star Wars.
Any
That's one of the more complicated ones in terms of like, oof, lots of damage is being done, but I guess you're setting the groundwork. You know, there's that conversation. TLJ I passionately hated. It's almost what launched my channel. I came out with a video really quick, just angry. Rise of Skywalker is like a clown movie. I remember being in the cinema and being like, they don't know how to go up? Are you kidding me? Are we
Yeah,
at
you
that
should have
point
been in
now?
it.
Yeah.
And then they do
Absolutely
that
not.
thing later of in Rogue One. I saw this on Twitter maybe yesterday. There's that. And I love Rogue One. I think Rogue One's the best that they've done in terms of movies, in terms of content in a very long time. I love that movie. But there's that scene where Jin's going through the plans on whatever that planet is, looking for the Death Star plans, and there's the plan that refers to them being able to track people through hyperspace to make things make sense when they do it in The Last Jedi of like, oh no, it's right there. You just got to know what it is. It's just an Easter egg, guys. We were planning on it. It makes sense that they do that. You know what I mean? And it just Jin flips through a name and it's right there. Oh,
You give me
Band-Aid.
PTSD for all the conversations happening. Remember the hyperspace kamikaze? So many Star Wars people were like, that makes sense because Holdo was the first person to really think of it. It was a ship that was just big enough. It was a sacrifice, guys. No one would want to give up a ship that big, but she did because it was to save a lot. It was just like,
Speaking of
Save what we
merchandise,
love.
Tony, how would we do like? Because Tony and I are big toy collectors on stuff. And there's Ollie's around here where how many boxes full of Captain or whatever Holdo toys are there? That's the
Every-
like
Every
It's a
Ollie
full
store,
box.
every Ollie store in Florida has Holdo, the Black Series 6-inch figure, at every single store for $7.99. And I see
Unpunched
her
boxes.
every week, and I hate it. She's
you just
everywhere.
have to walk past it to find the stuff that you actually want to see.
Yeah.
Full like shipping boxes, like they sent 50 from Star Wars Hasbro, and they're like, hey, these are supposed to get put on shelves. Ollie's as a second, I guess not really a secondhand store, but like they sell the stuff that doesn't
Buyout
necessarily, buyout stuff the first time. Those are unopened with like the factory sealed tape on the shipping boxes filled with those. Like you could buy a full box for probably like $25 for 30 to 40 Holdo figures at an Ollie's right now. It's just insane when you think about merchandising. Well, I mean, Tony and I were talking about it the other day. It's nuts.
how toxic it gets here because like Holdo, keeping plans away from Poe, and then just all this like crazy toxic behavior as a person in that scenario, and then being like, I like you, Poe. Like you're I actually like. Then being like, what is all that? And then people being like, you don't like it because it's a woman in power. It's like, what? Like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like Prince Jr.
Leia Organa's fucking amazing. What are you talking about?
Yep.
I would compare what Holdo did of like hating a character and choosing the wrong decision, what she did to Poe the entire time, and then at the end being like, oh, she knew what she was doing all along was the right thing, to kind of what Thrawn was doing in Ahsoka of like, he's just getting beat, nobody likes him, and then at the end he's going, I did plan this. It's kind of that same thing of like, you hate a character until right at the end and they go, oh, we are supposed to like them. They are heroes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Strange.
Morgan Elsbeth started to make me laugh because she felt like the. Do you know? Have you seen Anastasia or it's even like in Lion King? But like you have the villain character, and then they have this subordinate sort of comic relief character who will sometimes be like, say for example, the evil guy's like, let's kill all the children, and the comic relief was like, oh, do we really need to do that? She kept being the character of, why are we doing this? And then Thrawn would be like, because we're gonna win. She's like, oh, okay, okay.
Because I said so.
And then they clearly don't. My favorite thing about Thrawn, I think, was like, we're going to annihilate her. And then the next part was like, well, no, we're going to follow her and then destroy her.
dude,
And then he was like, no, we're just going to let her choose her own path.
And you talked about it.
Ezra's out there this whole time, and he's just like,
Yeah, and they seem to even know the sort of vague area of where he
like
was.
the
and yet-
direction to point her in, like,
Yeah.
The Balin thing that you brought up earlier, Waller, was like one of the biggest things for me in that episode. Was the whole show, and specifically the episode right before, sets them both up, Ahsoka and Balin, as like, they don't need to have this next fight. They're both ready to not have this engagement, but And right before that, what does Balin do? He says to Shin, I'm too good for this. I'm going to go find my purpose and the thing that's calling to me. And Ahsoka, she has the whole transformation with Anakin afterwards and is ready to go. And afterwards, she's like, I'm just here to help my friends. That's what I'm here for. It doesn't need to be conflict, blah, 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 blah. She's talking to Hu Yang the whole time. She's doing lightning with the white robe. And then they both just like Halo spawned together to be able to fight on that desert planet. It's like you wrote them to do something else, and then it was just like, oh, but wait, they got to fight one last time. So I completely agree with you on that. That's something that when you said that, I was like, hell yeah, that's 100% what happened.
You guys think of Ezra being like, forces an ally, that's all I need. The next episode he's like, there you go, a lightsaber.
And then, and like when he was using the Force, he was so shitty. It wasn't really great.
Well, it was
Expecting
and he
like
still
Darth
grabbed
Maul
a
or
blaster. The crazy thing to me was that it's like, take a blaster. No, we'll take the lightsaber at least. He's like, no, just the Force. It's like, you can't use the lightsaber and the blasters. So you should take at least one.
Yeah.
I will say too with the Ezra thing, it's like when I clipped it too of like that versus the Force is my ally. I don't need a lightsaber. And it's like, okay, that's a cool line. If it was built on afterwards, like just not using a lightsaber and being able to do the Dragon Ball and Matrix, all that stuff, it would have been fun. But like comparing that to Luke just tossing the lightsaber over his shoulder and not explaining it, I've seen people be like, oh, well, that's what Luke meant in The Last Jedi. He didn't need the lightsaber.
Is that what they're saying now?
Oh, yeah. I saw that immediately. I posted that clip of those two things back to back, and that was the first thing. Well, you just don't understand. Luke meant the exact same thing. That's what he did when he threw the lightsaber. He doesn't need the lightsaber. That's why he's scared of it when he falls over. Right?
You don't understand.
Do you know, one thing I love about the sequel trilogy is how much those films fight with each other.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Jefe is like, Rey, your parents, like, they're out there to be found. Incredible. Then the second film's like, there's nothing there. Nobody. And then the third film's like, no, Palpatine. Like,
I posted that clip the other day of Daisy Ridley being asked after The Rise of Skywalker in an interview with Josh Gad or whatever. And he goes, he's like, so you really didn't know the whole time? And she goes, no, I had no idea. JJ said it was maybe an Obi-Wan Kenobi thing.
Yeah.
Then she was nobody. And then she said I was the grandbaby of Palpatine. And I said, that's cool. But then they didn't tell me until the last 2 weeks of shooting. And it's just like, that's the perfect example of why those movies don't make sense. It's because your main character, that your tentpole for the entire trilogy, you didn't know who she was the entire time they did it.
Yeah, and then, mythologizing Luke, he's the one we're all leading to. We're going to get him at the end of TFA. He's going to come in and he's going to make all of this make sense, lead them, be better. And the second film's like, no.
No.
Yep. And then the third film's like, no, he is. He's a good, look at him. Oh, he's teaching. Do you remember he catches the lightsaber as it's being thrown? I was like, oh my God.
There was, in the trailer for, I think it was The Last Jedi, it was either The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker. It's Luke saying, the voiceover of Luke playing of being like, my father had the Force, my sister had it, I have it, and now you have it. And you're like, oh, Luke's going to be an awesome mentor. This is going to be fantastic. And then, look, I always say in The Last Jedi, the one scene that I'm like, this is okay, is when Yoda says the whole thing about failure being the best teacher. That's the most like Star Wars any part of that felt. However, you have to look at it through the lens of that's Yoda teaching Luke Skywalker that, when it could have been Luke Skywalker teaching Rey that, rather than Rey teaching Luke that. You know what I mean?
Love the lesson, hate the context.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Put the quote on a sticker, but don't show me the movie where it came from. You know what I mean?
It seems like we agree on pretty much. Differences here. Great.
Well, there we are.
What a debate.
Reset. I think people view me as much more like, I don't like to use this word, but hateful of more Disney Star Wars content compared to you guys, for sure. Like when someone says like Ahsoka season 2, Mauler, Ifat, what do you guys think? And we're like, oh, it's gonna be bad. Well, you're like, oh yeah, I hope it's gonna be good. Like much more optimistic point of view. I would still say I hope it's gonna be good, but I'm so aware of how these things are made. Like Marvel, I'd argue maybe there's even less hope when I know the creators behind it. I know that their desperation for like some of the worst damage that gets done is in reshoots at this point.
Yeah.
And the budgets are ballooned, so there's bleeding everywhere. You know what I mean? Like I want better, but I think I'm more pessimistic than you guys. And that's probably a big. Sort of
I want better, and I think I'm more hopeful.
Yeah.
But you know, every time, so that's.
I've been saying it since Book of Boba Fett when people are like if somebody in my day-to-day, they know I'm the Star Wars guy around, and they're like, oh, you like Star Wars, how are you excited for what's to come next? I always chalk it up to cautious optimism, with it being 80% cautious and 20% optimism. Like, hey, it could all go to shit right here, but I'm at least gonna give it a try before I see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, but at least I still keep tabs, and I know crap.
Yeah.
And I'm very worried, but at the same time, yeah, hopefully.
I'm not French, by the way. Nor do I drink wine. Nor do I eat cheese. Nor do I wear a
I have a mustache in a film.
He's the only
I'm the
one
one
with
who.
mustache.
Yeah, I'm the one who went to film school with a mustache.
Yeah.
I have a beret somewhere.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. Mahler, would you come back one day?
Absolutely. You're welcome to have a direct line to me. I was going to say, I don't know if you prefer Twitter, Discord, whatever.
I like Instagram. Yeah, Discord. Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to? Oh,
Yeah, what's
yeah. I
your-
can send it to you through Twitter DMs on my Discord.
Yeah, I'll hit you up on Discord.
No problem. And yeah, I suppose this goes both ways. But anything that you hear, I may as well not believe it about whatever I've said. As it goes for you. I think you'd always clarify it first because. I really hate interpersonal dramas. I really hate creator dramas. I feel like a lot of them are encouraged by audiences. No offense, audience. Not taking a shot at you. Don't worry. It's just that I much prefer collaborations.
Yeah, me too.
That's why I figured we'd be fine because we both got friends of friends. Like I'm on very good terms
I
with.
didn't know what your story was, what your angle was. Debate you, he's a film major, and I'm like, oh man.
People ask me that. They're like, "Oh, more what books have you read? What courses did you take?" And I'm like, "I watched a lot of movies, and TV shows."
Yeah, about an analytical person, smart.
Well, and a lot of people are like, "He's not a fan of Star Wars, he's a fan of film." I'm like, "Dude, I'm a fan of Star Wars. I fucking love Star Wars. I kind of wish I didn't sometimes."
Yeah.
So wild. They people say that.
Oh, I'm sure all these clips will be taken out of context.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Great. Go for it. Next week.
No problem. Anytime. And,
Yeah, catch you again
yeah.
next week or so.
Thank you so much for having me. Good to meet all of you.
Nice to meet you, Mahler.
See you, folks.
Later.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, had a good time.
It's good. Good discourse.
Yeah, dude, that was awesome, dude. I'm gonna run through the soupies real quick here. What's up, guys? We're going a couple hours back behind now, so Mahler joined. Yeah, okay. So
How many of these super chats are going to be bring Mahler in?
Bring
for, like,
Mahler
the
on,
first
yeah.
A bunch
half
of them.
hour.
I think it's wise for everyone here to understand that Josh built a larger fan base for your ship thanks to Theory, and he repaid Theory by abandoning Nerd 31st.
What's going on? Oh, it's getting late anyway. Alright guys, I think it's enough for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by.